Speaking of breakthrough innovation, ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker in this session is the winner of the 2017 Breakthrough Junior Challenge. That's an annual global competition for students to inspire creative thinking about science. Her 3-minute video explaining relativity won in a contest with 11,000 entries from 170 different countries. And it has been viewed so far over 7 million times, probably even more now since I last looked at that number. Next year, she will attend the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where she plans to major in physics. And perhaps her dedication and creativity will make her a valuable part in future of nuclear science's contribution to meeting the climate change challenge. Please give a very, very warm welcome to Hilary Diane Andales.
To our esteemed speakers in front, experts, policymakers, guests, and the IAEA. As a science communicator, it is my absolute honor to speak in front of you today. I confess, and I have to be honest, I was not too worried about climate change until something happened. Around 6 a.m. of November 8, 2013, I sat by my window as if watching a movie. Outside, the wind blew, the wind whistled as it blew houses, trees, and cars like they were paper. This was Super Typhoon Haiyan's landfall, and I was supposed to be terrified. But I wasn't. You see, I grew up watching documentaries on natural disasters, and I'm from the Philippines, where typhoons are a way of life. So I continued watching, pretending that the window was my movie screen, until, in a split second, it broke. All of our windows broke. And then I saw something I've never seen before. Brown water of unknown origin charged into our single-story house at frightening speeds, without a higher floor to escape to. We could only punch a hole into our ceiling and grab our roof's steel frames, barely escaping the current. In seconds, 10 feet of water engulfed our home. The storm raged on for 6 more hours, and finally, it was over. Thankfully, my family was saved. But many more were not as fortunate. Some of my immediate neighbors were among the 6,000 who perished that day. And probably more are still unreported to this day. That day, I realized Haiyan is no movie. But until my movie screen broke, until it felt all too real, and until I was endangered, I sat with complacency. I believe the general public feels the same way about climate change. We watch everything unfold, but we are not compelled to action because we feel that we are mere spectators. But we are not spectators. We are the perpetrators and ultimately the victims in this movie. Except it's not a movie at all. It's real and it's happening now. To me, Haiyan was a palpable sign that our climate is changing, and that this change brings unprecedented consequences. Haiyan is one of the strongest storms on record, but here's what's even more alarming. According to a recent study in Nature Geoscience, the proportion of landfalling storms reaching category 4 or 5 have doubled and even tripled in some areas of the Northwest Pacific because of the rising sea temperatures. And as we speak, people are still reeling from the damage of 2 superstorms, Hurricane Florence in the US and Typhoon Mangkhut in my Philippines. Now, superstorms aren't our only problem. Our food security, water supply, health, energy, and our economy are compromised. Not only that, animals are threatened to extinction as well. Climate change requires immediate and collective action. But immediate and collective action is not possible if we don't have the most powerful people with us, and those are the public. Communicating to the public is important and difficult. And personally, as a young science communicator, I had to learn that the hard way. The night before Haiyan struck, authorities warned us about something called a storm surge. Being complacent, we chose not to evacuate. The next day, all was well until the brown water invaded our home, the same water that killed thousands of others. Only later did I find out that that was the storm surge. The day I knew about it was the day it almost killed me. And thousands more shared my ignorance. It simply wasn't in our vocabulary. Some locals say that more probably would have evacuated if authorities called it a tsunami instead. Now, with the memory of Haiyan and better weather reporting visuals, we are better at communicating the risk. So science communication at the most crucial times is a matter of life and death. In the case of climate science, this is especially tricky. According to the Yale program on climate change communication, people perceive climate change as a distant problem. Only about half of Americans believe and are extremely sure that it is happening, and yet others believe that it's a hoax or a political device. Meanwhile, 97% of scientists are unequivocally certain that climate change is happening and that we are the culprit. So, what can we do? In order to make our climate mitigation, monitoring, and adaptation strategies most effective, we need to communicate in ways we've never done before. Over the next few sessions, experts and key decision makers will share how nuclear technology can help alleviate our climate problem. Nuclear power emits virtually no greenhouse gases while fulfilling our energy demand. Nuclear technology helps us assess key climate metrics such as ocean acidity and ocean temperatures. And nuclear techniques can help countries adapt to the warming planet, especially through their agriculture sectors. But despite the benefits of nuclear innovation, it suffers from unfair public perception, severely hindering its full potential. It is therefore imperative that we communicate to our leaders, and especially the public, about the scientific evidence. And the evidence points to say that climate change is a real threat and that nuclear technology is a solution. To do this, we can't just shove plain data into the public consciousness. We need to paint a vivid picture of the problem, its solutions, specifically emphasizing its human impact, because that's when we start to care. After all, Hollywood always beats hard science in terms of public engagement. So perhaps we can utilize some of their communication techniques. And even more importantly, we need to start conversations. We need to engage proactively with the public by answering their questions and giving context to the science. Once armed with the right evidence and resources, they can in turn become our new peer communicators, spreading the science to their friends and beyond. With social media, creating this grassroots movement becomes easier. Many people undermine the importance of science communication, but I believe that it has the power to turn skepticism into public policy and fear into support and public funding. With climate change looming over our heads, we need to communicate. We need to break everyone's movie screens. For this is no movie we can watch with complacency. Climate change affects us all. It affects us now. It requires awareness and action. It demands a worldwide movement. And although there has already been significant progress that make my generation optimistic, we can do so much more. For your generation, for my generation, and for all those to come, let us do more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Hilary Diane Andales, you painted a very vivid picture for us and you gave us a very strong and inspiring message. Thank you so much to you.